All right, so here we are back at the bench, and got a couple of my friends out over here. Let me move them out of the way. Whoops, penguin down, and get them nice and safe. Anyway, so what's today's video about? Well, it's about a lot of things, and it's about nothing, and it's about something, and it's just something I had in the back of my head. I was on vacation recently, and we drove down the mountain into town. Where we stay, we don't have any connection, so we're up there in the mountains, basically in the forest, and come down, nice and serene. And I was sitting in a parking lot and logged into a couple of my accounts online and checking some mail and stuff, and a friend of mine, and when I hit Facebook, which, right there, that's a mistake, right? Being on vacation and checking Facebook. There was some commentary going on about AK Stones, and, I threw in a comment because I read something somebody else said that is just like one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. And he wasn't the first person to say that stupid thing. I've been hearing it since I got into shaving. And then I was thinking maybe I'll just do a little bit of a video about honing and talking about grits and K in general. And, anyway, so that topic, people talking about AK Stones and stuff, there's a parallel there because you can see I got some Coticules out here, and these are some of my slurry stones. When I first came around in razor honing, which, follows my being a major lurker for a very long time on the internet in sharpening forums. But anyway, when I first came around, and even back then when I was on the sharpening forums, there was like a lot of confusion about things, and it was really hard to sort things out. And I think that's why I never really got involved with, logging in and creating an identity and talking with people, is because it was just all this confusion and contradiction, and it's just, it screwed with like my Vulcan mindset. Like I could not deal with some of the concepts that were being punted around. A lot of it just seemed like straight out like stupid nonsense and like idiot pontification, and the rest seemed like, and I'm talking about the ridiculous shit now, the rest of it seemed like marketing crap. And I had been around abrasives my whole yes, abrasives my entire life. I grew up with jars of Alox in the basement. I vividly remember charging laps with 100,000 mesh Alox to polish caps of different types of precious, semi-precious stones. So abrasives in general and the bullshit in the business, it wasn't like new to me. I had been in knife sharpening. I had owned several sets of Arkansas stones and run the gamut on buying crap until getting like really major pieces and being in love with them. And I still have one. My surgical black is from those days. And I had a matching white hard arc. I guess I sold that and it was stupid. I should have kept it, but I just didn't need it. Anyway, like I said, I had stones. I was into the sharpening thing. And when I got the razors, it was like all this stuff being talked about. And, that the term 8K, comes up like a lot, and there was a lot of chatter about, conicals. Here's a nice conical. This is a Lovionette. And prize stone of mine. And people saying, oh, they're 8K. You went to the Coticle website, and it said, oh, yeah, they're about 8K. And, me understanding abrasives and how the whole thing goes, and I was just like, well, how could that be? It didn't make sense. But, I kind of figured out that they were talking about, like, people honing on most Coticles might actually achieve an edge that was like an 8K or something. And I was like, well, they're making some kind of parallel. I don't necessarily agree with it, but, whatever. People need a reference point, and they need topic, for conversation. I need a razor. Here we go. And but then you ask yourself, if you know about, rock hounding, and how stones form in the earth, and then you start saying, well, how can every coticule be 8K? It can't be, Um, and how can every edge of every cuticle also be like an 8K edge? The whole thing, it just messes with my brain. But again, there's a lot of craft, there's a lot of science. Not everybody's a scientist, and not everybody's a craftsman either. But so you have a lot of chatter going on, and a lot of it to me was really confusing. So like everyone else, like not everyone, but most people came in, before I got a conical, which I got one, early on. For honing razors, I started with Nortons because I was told, I read rather, I wasn't told, I read that, they were the de facto standard, blah, 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 And then there was commentary about, what do you call it? The Norton, especially the combo stone, and the old timers on a certain forum that shall remain nameless. They said, if you can't shave off of this stone, then you have to go back and learn how to hone. So I got one. I honed with it, and I'm not one of those people that had a tremendous amount of difficulty. Excuse me one sec. Need some paper towel. Yeah, I didn't come in honing like a god, but I didn't have tremendous difficulty. I didn't need mentors and people I didn't have major problems. I shaved with my first edge because I had a history of doing stuff like this, and I understood it. Sure, it wasn't great. It got better, it got better, fairly quickly, I think. And, let me see what we got. All right, so you had that 8K thing, and people saying, "Oh, you're gonna home with that 8K, and then you're good to go." Because if you learn how to hone on the 8K, you will be able to shave with it. And so I honed with it, and I wasn't able to shave with it. I thought it was me, and blah blah blah. But in the meanwhile, some other things were going on. I was being I was in conversation rather with a guy out in Texas, Jose, and he suggested trying Naniwa stones. Said they were way better. I said, all right, well, what's better about them? And he showed me scope shots, and I was like, all right, well, I see a difference, in the image, but I don't shave with pictures. And so I got myself some Naniwas, I got a 1K, I got a 5K. Eventually I wound up with a complete set of them. I don't really remember which ones I bought first, but I know I had the 5K and I had the 8K. I got the 12K last, all right, because it was kind of expensive. And I had definitely had the 5K and the 8K at the same time I had the Norton, and I'm honing with the Norton. I'm honing all the time, and I'm like, I'm looking at it on the magnification, and I'm feeling the edge, and I'm like, well, this thing's just not coming up. I'm looking at the bevel, and I'm like, it's not giving me an even hit. I'm talking, I was emailing with a guy in Sweden who's like a sharpening dude there, and he's like, yeah, that stone, it's not that great. He said, that image you just sent me, that's what I call a Norton bevel. Anyway, so this kind of went on. I kept trying, and I was like, I just, I can't shave with this freaking edge, man, And so what happened is after a while, and I'm not talking a long while, but it was a bunch of honing. I started to equate that the Norton 8K was equivalent to the Naniwa 5K, and that's Naniwa Superstone. My first set of Superstones were the ones on stands, and after that I got a set of the 20 millimeter no stand, and I actually had 2 full sets of them. The Nortons, I had the combo stone. It was stupid. One side does not saturate the same as the other. You have to soak the hell out of the 4K. The 8K doesn't need so much. I got individual stones and back and forth honing, comparing. I came to my decision that the Norton 8K was like a 5K. I said it on a forum, and I got into like Mortal freaking Kombat with a bunch of poobahs, and so on and so forth. And I was finishing, actually I wasn't finishing, but I was following the Norton 8K with the Naniwa Superstone 8K, and I was definitely improving the edge, and on the magnification I could see that the scratch pattern was better, tighter, more polished. And yeah, I was really impressed with that stone. And all the while, like, I have this cuticle that I got from Jared at the Superior Shave, and Jared and I go back before he got into that shop in Florida, and anyways, I contacted him, and there was like some back and forth conversation. He had this stone on his website, but it wasn't for sale yet, and then it went up for sale, and I bought it like within 30 seconds of it going live, and I love that stone. That stone is today owned by a guy from Badger and Blade named Neurotopia. It's a Dressante bout, stripy bout, real nice stone. And I learned how to use that too. And at that point, I realized that, well, not right at that point when I got it, but after honing with it and doing all this side-by-side action between the Naniwas and the Nortons. Now, you got to remember, I'm talking about, at this point, I'm probably like 2 months into honing. I have a pile of gear, a literal shit ton of razors, because I had just hit eBay and got boatloads of them. And I had no problem setting bevel on the 1K, although it was slow. The Superstone 1K. I tried setting bevels on 4K. I swear I wiped out like a third of 4K trying to set a bevel on a wedge. Wasn't my thing. Yeah, you can do it, but who the hell would want to? So I kept questioning all those things from those old timers with all their pontification and all their absolutism, and they're like, Norton combo, and I started figuring it out. Like, that was the stone that was around. That's what they knew. They were invested in it. It was become a part of their persona at that point, and they weren't necessarily all going out and buying new stuff all the time, so they were kind of stuck, and they were definitely like crotchety old farts, man. Look, I'm no spring chicken, but they were just like, my God, shut up already. So, yeah, I was into moving to another set of stones right away. So, anyway, so I had that cuticle, and I'm honing with it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm beating out the Norton 8K, and I'm actually beating out the Naniwa 8K. So, why are these people down over here telling me this cuticle is an 8K stone? Well, it's because it's a natural stone, right? It doesn't have K. The other thing is that, the whetstones, the stuff from the factories, the commercial stuff, those companies, those people are full of shit, basically. Yes, it's true, and they just say stuff, Now, at the time when this was going on, 3 to 6 months into honing for me, there was no real hard data out on the Norton stone for some reason. And Naniwa, forget about it. I don't know if you ever try to talk to them through email. It's like, literally trying to pull teeth out of chickens. Doesn't work. They just tight-lipped. They refer you to the U.S. distributor and, that Straight Razor Designs. And, God bless those guys for, being on the forefront of things. But, they just have their own take on things. And, sometimes that doesn't suit me. I need more. I'm a pest like that. But I can't get hard data on the Naniwa, so that's that. But, everyone in the forums, they're screaming, just this, FIPA, that, Cami, fucking, they all know everything. They all studied. They all read everything. They know grit. They're grit poobahs. Most of them don't know shit, to be honest. Really, no, they don't. They're just talking out their ass. They read stuff, and they think they became scientists because they read a freaking PDF. The Norton 8K, I equated it to a 5K. And ironically, a bunch of years later, I get an email from someone on Badger and Blade, and he's like, my God, you were right. Norton just released a data sheet, and they're calling it a 3-micron stone. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not surprised. The Naniwa, I don't know what their particle size is. I don't know if they adhere to the GIST standard. I'm not even really sure what the GIST 8K is. I have the standard here. I think it's like 1.2 microns? I don't know, you know. I know that just caps out at 8K. Technically, well, maybe it changed, but back then there was nothing above 8K in their listing. So, you know, they had 10K and 12K, and, you know, they're a Japanese company. They should be subscribing to GIST, but, you know, they're making it up. And then you have Shapton, right? Shapton's out there, and they have their own thing. They list particle sizes, but it's not really lining up with anything else. So, you know, the whole K thing made me crazy early on for about, you know, I guess figuratively 5 minutes, and then, you know, I moved on. You know, I just had to, like, right there. It was like right there. I just dropped the entire premise. I no longer subscribe to K. You know, it was like, you know, I got manufacturers bullshitting me. I got old farts on shaving forums bullshitting me. I got people who just showed up 2 weeks ago who have a inexplicable need to be viewed as an expert in something bullshitting me. Yeah, that happens too. You know, I have proof in my hand in that, you know, the Norton so-called 8K is not 8K, and I have practical, empirical evidence that, you know what, not everybody's going to be able to shave off that stone, you know, and that's just the way it is. And the people who believe in that, you know, whatever, you know, leave me alone. You know, it's a tired old lie. You know, you should stop telling people that, because it's not true. There's no hard data to back it up. It's just personal opinion and a lot of regurgitated chatter. You know, there is no, you know, scientific study to prove that that stone is the living, dying end all of what anybody needs to shave with. That's just complete, utter bullshit. And every time I see it, it's like I just want to reach into the internet and grab whoever it is by, like, the back of their head and scream in their face, shut the fuck up already. I do. I actually do, because I know how damaging that kind of confusion is for new people. You're telling people that a stone is going to do X, Y, and Z when you don't know that. You can think it, you can try and impose it upon people, but fact is, that's not true. And I can tell you, after shaving and honing, I do not do well with that stone or any 5K edge or edge honed on a 5K stone. And, you know, for what it's worth, I know how to hone, you know, and it's not that listen, if I could shave off a Norton, I'd be, like, cool with that. I'm kind of jealous of the people who say they can. I think most of them are completely full of shit, and that's partly, you know, why I call it a lie. Because it turns out, after, like, talking with a bunch of these people, what happens is, you know, you post over on that one shaving forum where people just go for your jugular, you know, and it turns out that they're all honing to, you know, to the Norton 8K, and then they're, like, hitting the blade on Crocs, which is, you know, either 30 or 60K, depending on, like, how you want to look at it. And I'm like, well, how is that a Norton edge? And they're like, oh, no, the cut, this is something else. This is just to, like, smooth it out. I'm like, jeez. You're just bullshitting people, man. You know, you're just bullshitting people. So I had to dismiss all of them. And for the people that can shave off of it, you know, great. Fucking awesome. I'm really happy for you. That just doesn't work for me. Sorry, I don't do a lot of prep. I have a really tough beard. I have really sensitive skin. I need, like, you know, a killer freaking edge. That's why I got into this. Not to do, like, a, you know, a single pass, one direction shave just to, like, get me out the door. You know, I just don't do it. That's not my thing. I'd rather not shave. It's no point. To me, that's, like, half-assed. If it works for you, fine. I don't mean it's half-assed in general, but for me, it would be half-assed. So anyway, so that was my beginning. That was my 8K thing, and that was my epiphany about K. Like, I got to get out of it. It doesn't matter. It's kind of, stones are numbered, like, in a particular order in a series, and that's just what it is. You know, you just work numerically. You know, you get away from the numbers, and you start, like, honing on, like, feel. Yeah, this will do that sometimes. And I wiped that off. So I'm honing here for, like, you know, no reason other than I need to hone that. And just give you a look at my La Viennette while I ramble on about, some stonage. So anyway, back to 8K. I moved out of the Norton completely. I sold it pretty fast after, like, I got my feet wet rather, with the 90-watt systems. And I jumped to Chaucer zones really, really fast. Everyone thought I was nuts. Everyone made fun of me. They weren't the flavor of the day thing yet. But the knife guys impressed me with their feedback. I talked to some tool guys. There's this guy Stu in Japan. He had some like blog. I think he still does. The guy forgot more about stones than like I'm going to remember. I was talking with him and some other people, and yeah, I really wanted to get to a harder stone. So I moved over to Chauceras pretty quick. So I would say between the 6-month and the 9-month mark, I was probably closer to the 6-month. I was in Chauceras and got rid of all my Naniwas, my superstones. And, I moved forward from there. And as you know, there's no 8K in the Chaucera line. But, what they do have, okay, and it's a pretty spectacular thing. Let me just clean this off here. What they do have, Yumbaku, Snow White. And it was with this stone, right, that I found, like, 8K Nirvana, right? You see there, they're calling it 8,000. All right, you look at their literature, they call this a polishing stone. It's the only stone they list as a polishing stone. They don't even list their 12K Super or their 10K Chaucera as polishing. Now polishing, yeah, that's another thing I want to touch base on. I was part of that discussion I jumped into accidentally during my vacation. We talk about polishing. What is polishing? Well, sharpening is scratching steel, and then you heal those scratches with finer and finer grits. So, besides the you have to shave off a Norton or 8K bullshit that like was being, emanated out of that thread that I was blessed with seeing. There was another comment, something like the 4K Norton is designed for cutting and the 8K is designed for polishing. I wish you could see my face right now. One eyebrow is up and I have this face of complete and utter disbelief and contempt at the same time. All right. Someday I'll get a second camera and I can do cutaways, but for the time being, you guys just get stuck with my hands. Look, cutting, polishing, you want to draw a line in between there. Polishing is polishing when the lines become so thin and narrow and so compact next to each other that the the surface becomes reflective, okay? You study incidence of light, reflection, blah, 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 you'll see how that works out. The cutting part, precedes that because the particles are coarser, although you can pick up some polish along the way, and it's not like night and day, it's not on and off, it's a slow progression. Different stones handle this differently. JNATs come up like a hazy fuzzy, synthetics often become like incredibly mirrored because of the way that their particles are formulated and put in here. And honing on the 8K, which is really a 5K, polishing as opposed to being on the 4K cutting, this is just more of that confusion-based bullshit that, people get into. And, whatever, it doesn't have to be a pissing match, but, it's like, I remember, lots of new guys coming in and just like, they go on a forum and they ask a question and like they get 800 answers and they're all different. And woven into those answers, this stuff, this I call it disinformation, okay? It exists, all right? Because you're talking about a theoretical thing, a very highly subjective thing here, and you're subjecting a newcomer to a discussion that they don't have a chance in hell at understanding, So when I read that, that wizardry bullshit, it's a cutting and polishing. I want to reach through the internet and be like, just shut the fuck up already, man. Stop trying to pontificate and pretend that you know stuff, all right? I'm sure you've done well at reading all the threads you can on Straight Razor Place or Badger and Blade or Razor and Stone or whatever forum it is you crawled out of. But that doesn't give you. It gives you a smattering of understanding. It's a superficial thing. You don't really internalize it until you really get deep into it, and you don't need to hone. That's the other thing. It's just like you rub steel on rock. I was working with, I have an account with Saint Gobain. Saint Gobain owns Norton. You know, before 1990, Saint Gobain bought them. Before that, they were like a private entity, or they were with someone else. I forget exactly how that went down. And after a few years, Norton came out with the combo, the water stones. They build them as Japanese water stones. I think that was like '94. I don't know. Naniwa came out with the Super Stones. They weren't answering Norton. They don't care about Norton. Not taking anything away from Saint Gobain. They're a very powerful, very incredible company. But Naniwa and hone stones and sharpening stones in Japan, it's like a lifestyle. It's almost a religion over there. It's not like it is here in the United States or anywhere else. They're really damn serious, And they came out with the Super Stones, and I guess that was like '94. No, not '94. Was it '94? No, 2004. I would say '94 was the Norton 90 thing. The Super Stones came out about 10 years later. I'm not sure when the Choceras came out. Probably around the same time. So you got a 10-year gap in there, and a lot of advancements in aluminum and ALOX and particle manufacture, particle distribution, filtering, sifting, sieving, all of that. A lot changed. And even since then, a lot has changed also. I think Saint Gobain actually owns the market on that, but I just don't believe for a second that it trickles down to their stones. Because they don't care. They're into other stuff. Hone stones to them, whatever. But for 8Ks right now, I have my beloved Snow White. I love that stone. I have this, which I'll talk about in a moment. That's a Naniwa Fuji. It's part of the Gauken series, and this is my Shapton. This is an AK. This is an AK. This is an AK. And if you listen to certain people on the internet, that's a Coticle and it's also AK. So, how's your confusion? All right. I would pit this, I would put this lowest on the list here. I would put this as being very similar, maybe a little bit, a nudge better. All right, one full nudge better than the Norton. All right. And Norton AK. I'm not sure what the particle size in here is supposed to be. It's a good stone. It's a solid stone. I use it in a progression with the other stones, 1.5K, then I go 5K, and then I go 8K, and sometimes 12. I either jump to natural stones from the 5K or this stone. All right. I don't rely on this to be 8K. I would never tell anybody that they can shave off of this. I would suggest trying it the same way I direct people to learning how to understand the Nagura by attempting to shave Botan, Tenju, Majiro, Koma, and shaving off of each. So it's the same with synthetics, all right? But I would never come out and say that you have to learn to shave off this stone, and if you can't, you have to go back to the beginning, because, that's, again, it's bullshit, and I would just not say that. Put this away. It's a good solid stone. I love it. I love honing on it. Feedback's great. But in the world of 8K stones, it's not that fine. But I don't need it to be that fine. Okay, do you understand? It's not important to me. I just need it to work and do what it has to do. And that's the way we should be addressing stones, not with this authoritative, poobah bullshit. Anyway, so like I said, I got this nice Snow White, and after a while, I got to know some people through the internet, people in Japan, people go to Kazurokai over there, and so on and so forth. And this stone was a darling. Okay, it had outperformed the Naniwa 10K Superstone for putting edge and polish on Kana blades. We're talking some steel and some of those Kanas. You're talking, north of 62 Rockwell. That's some hard stuff. And I got this. I love this stone. I could actually I could work out a shave from this. Now it's not like my best shave, all right, but I can do it. There's an AK that I can do a shave off of. It won't be as close as I want it to be, but it's there. This stone is the next level up. And it does refine all of that groundwork between 1 and 5K. If you read Vorhaven's papers and you want to open your mind to some of the practical facts about sharpening, you can ingest a couple of things he was trying to get across, and it was his thought and mine early on, although he proved it with his testing. But you're what you want to call sharpening is like 1 to 5K, and then he started to look at everything after that to be like polishing at that point, because he was referring to the activity on the steel and the minimal amount of actual steel removal. You're still healing the steel. You're still removing the scratches from the steps before. Okay, but I read that paper like I don't know, 20, 30 times, and every time I read it, it's a reminder, So I think of everything before this stone as my groundwork, and then here is where I'm starting to do my finish, and that's my spin on it. Okay, and that's for me and how I hone and how I shave. And if somebody disagrees with it, that's okay. It's not who I am. It's just what I do. Now this thing belongs in like, I don't know, a like a wood box with a satin lining and its own custom fit. Right. This is my Fuji 8K. I'm probably, if not the first, one of the first people in the U.S. to actually have this stone and work with it. I've had it for a long while. I got a call from someone who came back from Kazuokai, and basically it was like, Keith, I got a stone better than Snow White. I'm sending it to you. And yeah, damn, this is some stone. I'll be honest, I like the Snow White better. This is technically a more proficient stone. It's a little weird, kind of like, in a way, it's weird like the new Batamas are weird. And I'll get into that maybe in another day, but not right now. But, refinement possibilities here are just for, a stone with the 8K moniker. It's just like, it's way out there. I can actually shave very well on this stone, but it's very demanding, and my ground game has to be beyond impeccable. And yeah, it's a real treat, but I like the feedback more from this. It's just, it's just one of those things. I really love the way this stone feels. So what makes this like so great? Well, to be honest, I have suspicions about what they did here. Okay, I know for a fact that they had reformulated their binders, and they have reformulated their binders, but they haven't reformulated the binder for this. So while the Chaucera stone binders were reformulated, this Snow White appears to have been untouched. At least that was what I heard last. So I'm thinking that the binder in here has a lot to say about how the particular abrasive in here acts. I believe that the particle size distribution in this stone is just off the hook. Like, just, no AK stone is full of only AK particles. You always have some particles over and some particles under. So actually, I think this probably is finer than AK to start off with a tighter particle size distribution, and that I think it also has a very high concentration of particulate with a very high hard binder. That is also forgiving in the sense that, it will release new particulate when you gauge your pressure just correctly. Is it for everybody? I don't know. Certainly beats the pants off of that Norton. But that's not too hard to do. I mean, like I said, it's a 3K stone. It's a soft binder. It's a soaker. It's not that consistent. when Norton moved their production to Mexico, I think that stone took a hit. I think the ones from the United States might have been a little bit better. I know when they moved the factory, the first, I don't know, bunches of stones, they had to like lap an eighth of an inch off just to get to like being consistent. Didn't have any of that problem with this stone. I know some people have had crazing with them. I haven't had crazing. This doesn't seem to be the type of binder that can craze. Neither of these really load. Neither of them need soaking. They're just, to me, they're at that, that real, like, nice beginning of what I call finishing point. I don't even need to call it a K. That's just my thing. So there's that. I would pit a good Coticle up against 12K. So is this a 12K stone? I left K behind, But, I don't even know what the particle size for 12K is. I think a lot of people assume it to be about 1 micron. But I know that I refined the edge off of a 12K with a Coticle. I hone with Coticles all the time. I don't really talk about it all the time, but I do. I mean, I'm going to reach over here. I'm on my bench, and you probably hear me moving stuff. Yeah, here's my bench stone. I mean, this is out 100% of the time. It's out. I'm actually selling this one because I feel like I need to move on so I can experience a different stone. This is Las Betas. I got this a year or two ago. This is an amazing Coticle. It's nice and hard, right? It really does a killer job finishing, but I hone with it all the time. I hone a lot. It's always out. I should put it away because now it's on Etsy. It would be like Murphy's Law for me to like drop paint on it or something. These are like my, what do you call it? My slurry stones. I have all different types of slurry stones for achieving not so much a different result, but a different attack on my blades. This is Las Betas. This one is from David. He's the maniac behind these two. David, you seriously. These are both amazing. I think this might be a La Viennette combo. I believe this to be a Dressante on slate. Okay, very, very nice examples of slurry stones. I have this, which I believe to be some kind of Dressante, but I don't know. I tend to call it nougat. This is the old school green La Verte, where I wish I had a full stone of this. I foolishly sold one. I wish I could get it back. It's like the hardest Coticle ever in the world. It's like ridiculous. You want to talk about a finishing stone? Dude, man, that thing was killer. La Viennette combo. La Petite Blanche, old piece. And what are you? Oh, yeah, you're the La Grise, So, these are some of my slurry stones. I hone these all the time. Why these out right now in a video about like 8K? Because, well, K this, K that, K the other thing. I don't know. I hone from coarse to fine, and in the process of honing on a Coticle, I'll change up. I'll use different slurry stones. I think Jared calls them ringtones or something like that. Yeah, okay, fine. They're ringtones. Well, I get it. I wouldn't call them that. It's not my thing, but it's a good word. And they put a little bit of a personal spin on things. Sorry for the empty spots here in the middle of my video. So anyway, I got this one, right? This is another Coticle that's almost never out. David made this box, and I don't know, it got a little tight or something, but it's okay. All right, so we have this nice Coti, and this is Les Latnuses, and I don't know which of this is the yellow side, right? And I don't know. Like Les Latnus is basically like 3 veins. There's a hybrid in the middle, and then there's yellow on either side, and I don't know which one this is, but I can tell you it's the one I like. This is really nice stuff, man, right here. And I'm doing this like dramatically because the part we all like love here is that, right? And I foolishly sold this once, and then I bought it back. And who knows, maybe I'll sell it again someday and whatever. But this is, to me, it's like one of the most beautiful Les Lat hybrids I've ever seen in my life. You got this nice, this is the traditional type of marbling you see, but this painted thing here is highly unique. All right, so this is like way harder than this. Okay. And, you know, it's supposed to be what? Is it supposed to be an 8K stone? You know, I came along, people were saying, oh, yeah, Les Lads, everyone pays a lot of money for them. They're no different than any other Coticle, you know. And I bought one of these. Yeah, I bought one early on. Way early. Probably right around the same time I was like, you know, raising my eyebrows at that Norton thing, because I'm into stones, and I saw the beautiful marbling, and I was like, can you see, like, I can't catch it in the light. There's like this reflective thing. It's like, anyway. So I bought that last lot, and I started honing with it, and the edges were like ridiculous. They were just awesome, you know. And people were like, "Nah, they're all the same. Nah, you don't know anything. Nah, I gotta go shave with a Norton 8K. You don't know what you mean. Oh, here's a bottle of Crocs, you know." And like, I'm like looking at my last lat, and I'm honing, and I'm looking at my edge, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. These things are better. These are harder. This is finer. This is sharper. This is smoother. And they're like, nah, you don't know anything. I've been doing this longer than you. No, literally, I ran into that stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think this is different. I don't think you're right. I'm looking at everything here under like my minor magnifications, and I'm relying on my skin to tell me, and I'm thinking, you know, first you told me this was 8K and you were wrong about that. Now you're telling me this is the same as this, and I'm nuts. Okay, so like, you were wrong out of the gate. When I say you, I'm talking about like the Poobah assholes that were running the show. All right, and you know, don't you know it, man? That guy Hank Booth goes and puts out a freaking paper like 6 years later, and he calls it out, bro. Man, this has a 1 micron particle size. It's chlorite and quartz. This is spessartine garnet, and I forget the particle size, but the spread is huge and it's large. And I'm not big on particle size or whatever, but it just goes to prove you, like, I called it. I was right. Okay, these are special stones. You can achieve a finer edge on one of these if you know what you're doing than you can with a typical Coticle. It is possible. If you can't do it, that doesn't mean it's not true. All right, that's the same, you know. People tell me, oh, the 90-watt Superstone 8K isn't that great. And then you find out these are guys doing like 40 laps on that stone. Do you know how many laps I do on an 8K synth? Do you want to know? I tell you this. This stone, I have never done more than 20 laps, and I target 15. And if I have to go past that, I go back to 1.5K, 1.5, because I blew it. All right? That's happened once. I misjudged something. I caught myself here. All right? My Snow White, same thing. My Fuji, same thing. 15 laps, I'm done. That's done on 8K. If you're doing like 35 laps, you're going to pull up. Oh, and pressure? There's no pressure. No, there's no pressure at 8K. It's like baby ass honing time. You're moving like, you know, like the wind, like a butterfly feather wing thing, man. You know, it got to be light. You know, you put pressure on it. You go 50 laps. You turn up a blade with chips on it. Yo, dog, that's you, not the stone. That's you not knowing how to hone. You know, that's just the way it goes down, man. 8K should not be. When I come to this stone, okay, and one thing I love about this, it's white. Come to this stone from, like, whatever. I usually use the Falcon 4K before this now, but, yeah, I could use, you know, whatever. The 8K to 5K from the Shaptons. I do my 3K and my Chaucer. When I come in, my first pass, if I have swarf, notable swarf. Okay, if there's swarf on the stone that isn't like a transparent gray, like so light that it's almost not there, okay, if it's the next shade darker, I blew it. Okay, I did not do my groundwork correctly. All right, there should be no swarf here, okay? It's funny, you know, I was saying that early on. I was saying it about the Norton, and I said it about the 90-watts and everything else, and it was like 2 years later. You know, and this kind of pisses me off. You know, I would say stuff, and then everyone's like, oh, he's off talking again. And nobody paying attention. And then Sham goes and, like, says it on Straight Razor Place, I think, and it becomes fucking gospel. I had already said it to people, and they're like, nah, that's not true. You're pressing too hard on the spine or some other thing. Yeah, whatever. It's just kind of annoying to me. Look, I'm no honing god, but I did target a lot of things that are like turned out to be absolute facts. I targeted them early on. I know some stuff. That's what it boils down to. It doesn't mean I'm always right. It doesn't mean I know everything. I certainly don't know everything, and I sure as hell don't always want to be right either, because that just puts you in a position. It sets you up for failure. But when somebody says that, you have to be able to shave off of a Norton 8K every single time I read that or hear that, every single time I'm going to look the person straight in the eyes and say, you're full of shit. Because not me, not you, not anybody has the right to tell anyone what they need so far as their shave goes. You're not in that position. You don't know so much. I don't, you don't. Okay? I can tell you that the Norton 8K doesn't cut it for me. Please accept that as fact. If you don't want to, you think I don't know how to hone? Yeah, fine. Whatever. Keep on keeping on with that. In the meantime, you might want to look around the internet, because I'm not the only person saying it, And we're not all wrong, and we're not all incapable of honing. So you might want to reconsider your position. Anyway, so that's what I got for today. I know it wasn't a lot of honing. I showed you some stuff, and I did some talking. And what I'm going to do is I want to get back to putting a little bit of a cutting edge on this guy here. Mainly the reason that I was sparked to do a video, to be honest, it wasn't the 8K thing, it wasn't the Naniwa or the Norton thing, and I speak on those things often enough, but it was kind of like I noticed that over the weekend, during the week, I was getting closer. My YouTube channel was approaching 1,000 subscribers, which to me it's a mind blower, because I didn't start this channel to start a channel. I just needed a place to put up a video that I had made about restoring a Wade and Butcher razor. I had originally done the story in stills and put it on a shaving forum, but a couple of guys PM'd me and said, hey, this would be great if you could do a video, because it would be easier. It would all be like in one place instead of multiple pages. So anyway, so it made sense. So I started it with that, and I think that video's got like an awful lot of views on it. And I still get messages on it. And, of course, not everybody loves it, because it's the internet, and, some people just can't, like stuff or whatever. I don't know how anyone could watch that movie and say, oh, this is a thumbs down. It's just, I don't know. It amazes me. So anyway, so I wanted to throw a video in, get that out of the way. I wanted to talk about some topics that are like important to me. I wanted to do a little honing on camera. I want to talk a little bit about Coticules, because I guess sometimes I don't talk enough about them. Everyone knows me as a JNAT guy, and I sell Coticules, but I only sell one. Sometimes I sell the big one too, but I'm not in competition with anyone. You want a Coticle, go to Jared. He's like the Coticle guy here in the U.S. I carry them for the JNAT guys that need a quick Coticle, or they want to use it as a mid-range, or they just want a different fingerprint. It's just kind of like, I don't do the photo thing. I don't do the write-up. They're sort of generic. They work, They're nice. They're fresh. They're good. But, I'm not the Coticle salesman. At the same time, I love honing on them. I've had one since the beginning. I think they're awesome. They're like amazing stones to me. It's just that, I decided to go vertically on working with JNATs. I didn't want to be the guy selling, every type of hone out there. Yes, sometimes you'll see I got a Thury, or I got an Esh, or I got an Arkansas. I actually clean house on most of that, because it's a very heavy existence, and people were asking me for the stuff, and it was time to move them on. So what happens? I wound up scoring like a killer translucent the other day. Just like knock you out of your socks. Awesome. But I won't even get into it probably for another couple of months because I'm kind of busy. Anyway, I just want to talk about Coticules in 8K and like sort of clear the air. And, you know, that's how I feel about it. Let me not say clear the air. Let me just say I just wanted to put my thoughts on the matter out there. That conversation I told you about in the beginning, the other party went from 0 to butthurt in like 3 seconds. And like, he started getting into that like rabid dog thing. It's like, yeah, I don't have time for that shit. I don't want to argue in public. I don't want to fucking spend the rest of my day typing into defending myself against somebody who, like, I don't even know if you know how to hone. Who am I talking to? I mean, if you're telling me that an Norton 8K is all that, then yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I can pick my adversaries better than that. Sorry if you think that's snotty of me, but too bad. you know, um, yeah, I just want to put out how I think about it. I'm not saying you gotta think the same way I do. Maybe you love the Norton AK. Maybe you think it's the bomb diggity. Maybe you think it's better than Snow White or whatever. Yeah, I can tell you factually it's not, okay, but I can't speak for how you like stuff, and that's what honing's all about. It's like really up to you. It's your thing. It's your choice. It's how you feel, and this is me and how I feel. People want to fight and argue. Yeah, whatever. I got better things to do. Anyway, that's just a little bit on 8K honing and coticals. Anyway, so that's it. Remember, always, always, always have fun, and I'll see you all next time.